Okay, I'm joined by UFC Middleweight Kyle Daukaus, who's fighting February 19th against Julian Marquez. Kyle, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Good. Firstly, we're a couple months out, so generally at this stage of preparation, how are things going?
It's going good. I didn't officially start fight camp yet. I like to keep my camps between like 8 to 10 weeks. Actually, this month today is actually 10 weeks, like 10 official weeks. But since my brother's fighting this week, my main focus is kind of on him. And then once I get back on Sunday, next week we'll start fight camp. So I'll have like a good 9 week camp to just prep and get ready.
Are you heading out to Vegas with Chris this weekend, yeah?
Yeah. We leave tomorrow morning around 9 a.m. So yeah.
Um, Obviously Julian, he's a guy with a bit of a name. What are your thoughts on him as an opponent and really this matchup between you two guys?
I think he's a good opponent. He's a very game opponent. He's a very tough guy to get out of there. He's only got one loss, I believe, and yeah, he's just a very tough guy. I think it's a great matchup for me. He's kind of a short, stocky striker that he's not too talented in like any one dimension. He's very well rounded, and I believe I'm well rounded too. And I believe that I'm better than him at every single aspect of the game that the fight calls for.
Obviously, you've had a few different opponents to prepare for. Obviously, there was the Holland rematch and then Roman Dolidze, which got scrap play. Now, obviously, Marquez. So, how has the preparation kind of been different between all three?
I think that my main focus against Holland was just to push him up against the cage and wrestle. And once the fight got switched to Roman, I kind of switched. I kind of kept the same game plan as far as like grappling against the cage and wrestling and stuff. I just switched it to being more defensive against Roman because we knew that going in there, he was going to try to take me down and try to drop down for leg locks and stuff. But for Julian, it's a bit different since he doesn't really favor takedowns as much as Roman does, or he doesn't really like be as defensive as Holland was. I have to be ready for anything. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't really change any game plan that I have going in there. I still go in there every single day and train my best and train my hardest and just make sure that I'm prepared to go 3 5 minute rounds and get the job done.
So, obviously, we saw what happened last time with Kevin Holland. Were you annoyed that that rematch didn't really end up happening?
Not really, no. I think it was more of his like he wanted the rematch to happen so badly because he was pushing for it so much after like that night he was pushing for it. But no, it wasn't something I was chasing or anything like that. I'm not a guy that's going to dwell on losses that I have or anything like that. There's a lot of guys that are in the division that I can focus on and get to the belt from there. It's not like I have to beat the guys that I lost to, or I have to beat the guy that I have a no contest to. I know that whoever they put in front of me, I have to win. If that's one of the guys that I lost to, then it's one of the guys that I lost to. And if it's just a random guy that's on there and has a number next to his name, then I have to take it and beat him as well. So
Just in hindsight, looking back at that, how do you see everything that played out in that fight?
in the Holland fight,
Yeah.
um, it is what it is. You know, I don't dwell on the fight. A lot of people ask me about it, and I kind of give the same answer every single time. I think it's solely on the ref's decision that it was made. And as far as the rematch goes, he kind of went running. We didn't really hear a response from his team or anything like that. And next thing we knew, he was injured. And then a week later, he was claiming that he wanted to fight Leon Edwards at 170. So we don't know if he was really injured or whatnot. He did come out and say he had an ankle injury. So I'm assuming that's why he had his ankle taped up and wrapped up in the fight against me. But if you're that injured to where you can't fight me until February, then why are you asking for a fight in a month? You know what I mean? But yeah, you know, I have to move on. I'm moving forward. He's moving forward too. So I wish him all the luck at 170, but I think that 170 has a lot tougher wrestlers than 185. So good luck to him. Hopefully he's successful and I'll be successful at 85.
Just quickly, how much did that clash of heads hurt you at all? Did it or not?
No, you know, I honestly didn't feel it. I honestly thought that he had actually clipped me with his arm, with like the shoulder, like the delt bicep section of his arm. I thought that's what had hit me in the face, and then as soon as I came up, he was down, and I thought he kind of just like slipped and fell forward or whatnot. But if you watch the replay, it's like my section of my head, like right here, it's perfectly on his chin. But I had nothing, like I didn't see stars or anything like that. You know, nothing was bad or anything. The next day I wasn't sore, so it was kind of weird.
Um, Obviously, like we said, you're fighting in February, but we've got a massive fight this weekend.
Yeah.
How's your brother doing heading into this one?
He's doing great. You know, I don't think he's been as prepared as he's ever been for a fight, especially going 5 rounds. So this is the first time he's actually trained for 5 rounds. So seeing him, you know, prepare for 5 rounds as a heavyweight, it's very surprising to me at how good his cardio is and how good his strength is and speed is. You know, usually guys that solely focus more on their cardio throughout fights will lose a little bit of speed or lose strength, and he hasn't lost any of that. And he's kind of increased everything that he's been training, and he's ready to go 5 rounds. I really think that he's going to be too quick and kind of too, you know, methodical in his approach to the game. And I think it'll be a lot like Derrick's last fight against Cyril, and how my brother will be very light-footed and be very quick in and out movement. And I think he's just gonna be too quick for Derrick.
So how beneficial do you think it's been? Not just that you've got a brother in the UFC, not just that you're the younger brother, but you guys both kind of come into the UFC around the same time.
I think it's very beneficial. We've always pushed each other, you know, ever since we were younger. We've always pushed each other in sports, even though we weren't really on the same team. He played sports, and I played sports as well. We kind of played the same sports all in all. But yeah, it's been great having him like by my side throughout the whole journey and everything like that, because I have somebody that'll actually, you know, just push me to be better, because he's pushing himself to be better as well. He keeps me accountable throughout the week, and I keep him accountable throughout the week as well. You know, like if he has a fight, like throughout this camp, I took kind of a coaching perspective when he's fighting, because our sole focus was on him for this camp. So I think that's kind of made me better, both as a fighter and kind of coaching as well. And when I'm in camp, you know, he does the same. He takes on the coaching role, gives me his kind of pointers on what he thinks I should work on, and I do the same for him. And yeah, I think it just keeps us both like fresh, because we're both at the top tier of our sport, you know. And he's leaps and bounds above me, because he's at probably the toughest division in the world in any sport, and he's ranked amongst guys that, you know, we never thought that we would be ranked against. So, but it's great to have him on my side throughout the whole journey.
You mentioned it there, and I will just say that when I said that I was interviewing you, one of the questions I got to ask you was, who's better, you or Chris? But yeah, I thought that's a bit harsh to ask you, but like,
no, it's not. I mean, it depends on who you ask, honestly. If you ask me, obviously I think he is better striking wise, and my jiu-jitsu is better, I believe, than his. But if you ask him, you know, he's going to say that I'm 100% better than he is throughout the whole thing, you know. But the only people that get to see that are the people that are in the gym, you know, because we're going head to head every single day, and I get the better of him some days, and he gets the better of me some days. So it's good.
So you're both very modest, trying to push it onto the other guy.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So obviously it's an interesting story. So just like both of you guys coming up, which one of you was like the first guy to see MMA? Which one started this whole journey for both of you guys? How did that kind of work growing up with him?
Yes, so we kind of started not late. I started my freshman year of high school and going into sophomore year of high school. And he started a little bit later than me, in probably his freshman, like senior year of high school, freshman year going into college. He stopped in at his jiu-jitsu gym, and he started, you know, just training strictly jiu-jitsu in the gi. He told me about it, and I was intrigued, but I wasn't to the point where I was like, I thought I was going to fight for a living. But I went in there with the sole focus of doing MMA. You know, I was like, all right, I want to do MMA. I don't want to do jiu-jitsu. I don't think jiu-jitsu is kind of pointless and doesn't really help with MMA. Sorry about that. It's my dog.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Drive. And
it's not the first time it's happened during an interview.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. He's a little crazy. But yeah. I went with the sole purpose of just doing MMA, and he's stuck with jiu-jitsu. And once we found out that we were kind of getting good at it and stuff like that, I decided that I wanted to try a fight and take a fight. And we kind of took the fight, and it kind of, even though I lost my first amateur fight, I kind of just took off from there. And I was like, I'm going to get better at this and do the best that I can to get into the UFC and just try to be the best that I can possibly be.
You mentioned amateur fights there. You started your career up at heavyweight as well, didn't you?
Yeah, as an amateur, I fought like 2 or 3 times at heavyweight, and then I knew that I really needed to make a change, because I wasn't like as strong as other heavyweights were. I was kind of just big and fat. And yeah, my coach sat me down and said, if we're really going to do this thing, like you have to make a change. You have to either fight at 205 or you have to fight at 185. And I did a test run for a grappling tournament at 189 pounds. So I weighed in at 189 pounds and I was like, I felt good. And I said, I could probably cut 4 more pounds. It's not going to be that big of a deal. And did that. And I was pretty successful as an amateur at middleweight. And, you know, starting my professional career, I went 9-0 with like 8 finishes. And it's been great ever since.
Do you see yourself maybe moving back up to 205 though at some point?
No. As of right now, I mean, I'm not like fully, I don't think I'm fully like at my potential, like body mass, like muscle mass and all that stuff. Even though I am pretty heavy when I'm not in camp, like right now, I'm probably like 215. So I don't see myself, because I know that the guys at 205 are cutting down from 230. So I think they're a little too big for me. But yeah, I think I'll try to stay 85 as best as I can.
Is that kind of normal for you, that 215 down 185 around this time out from the fight? Is that normal for you?
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty normal. I try not to get any heavier than 210, 215 around there. I'm very like lean as my size wise. I just have like a big frame, but I'm very lean and I can lift the weight pretty easily. So sorry. Jesus. Judge, upstairs. Sorry about that. Oh God.
Obviously all of your fights in the UFC this far, so far, have been at the Apex.
Yes.
UFC starting in March, taking fight nights back on the road, so you're going to miss out on that, unfortunately. But you know, Philadelphia is kind of a hotbed right now. We've got you guys, we've got Sean Brady. So how would it feel for you? How likely do you think that is, that that's something that could happen? And how good would it feel for you to maybe have your first fight in the UFC in front of a packed arena, being in Philly?
It would be amazing. But you know, unfortunately, they just put out like a big thing now for Philadelphia starting January 3rd. You have to be vaccinated to enter the sporting events now. So I'm assuming that's going to change for the UFC. Like the UFC is probably not going to come here. But they did do New York, and New York has the same rule set. I believe it's just the competitors don't need to be vaccinated. I mean, it would be amazing for that to happen, but you know, hopefully it does happen. It would be kind of wild for my first fight to be in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Center. But hey, if it can happen, I'll do it. But I really just want to fight in front of fans once. I want to get my family out there at the Apex and have them come watch me, or fight at the T-Mobile Arena. It's something that, you know, I've always wanted to do ever since I started watching UFC. So
Daukaus main and co-main, that'd be pretty good, right?
That'll be wild to do. As long as it's cool with my brother, I'd do it.
You're the main event and not him, yeah?
Yeah, right. I wish.
So just like to finish off here, we've got the fight in February, Julian Marquez. Just if you visualize this in your head now, how do you see this playing out?
I see it being a very kind of dominant victory for me. I see myself just using my length, using my distance, picking him apart on the feet, and if it goes to the ground, I really feel like I'll get the submission. But I'm not going to try to force, you know, just like with every fight that I have, I'm not going to try to force anything or go in there and try to make anything happen. I'm just going to go out there throughout this whole camp. I'm going to prepare the best that I can possibly prepare, go into the cage on February 19th and get the job done, get my hand raised.
Of course, we just saw big title fight announced for your division coming up next year. Izzy and Whitaker having the rematch. How do you see that one playing out?
I would like to see Whitaker win the belt. But you know, I really don't know. It's a tough matchup. Once you lose to somebody, I'm sure I've never fought I've only fought in one rematch that I've had, and that was like I beat the guy in the first match, and I don't know how different it's going to be going in the second fight with Whitaker, what his mindset's going to be and what Izzy's mindset's going to be. But I hope Whitaker wins. But yeah.
Just to finish off, crazy upset of the weekend that with Nunes and Juliana, obviously. What do you think of that? How did you give Juliana a chance coming into that, and just what's your reaction to that?
It was crazy. It was crazy to watch. It seemed like something changed in Nunes's like demeanor at the end of the first round. Once she took her down, and there was like a part in the fight when she kind of looked over at her corner, took like a deep breath, and kind of shook her head like, all right, like she's not getting out of this. I'm not getting out of this first round. It seemed like something kind of changed. And then Juliana came out in the second round and just was picking her apart with jabs and just kind of used. I think Juliana used the game plan that she needed to use. She needed to make it dirty and needed to make it gritty to get Nunes tired, and she did that, and it's crazy to see. But we also saw another upset with when Nunes knocked out Cyborg. So I'm excited to see the rematch between them and see how that goes down.
Yeah. And then maybe throw Kayla Harrison in the mix as well, right?
Yeah, right. They were saying that. I mean, I saw the interview with Dana saying that they're in talks with her. I think that'll be a good fight, but they're teammates. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Awesome. Like we said, Kyle Daukaus versus Julian Marquez, February 19th. It's a fight night. But Chris Daukaus versus Derrick Lewis this Saturday. Don't miss that one. Want to thank you for the time today, Kyle.
Man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Best of luck in February, man.
Thanks, brother. I'll talk to you soon.